So I'm always struck when I drive on a freeway that there's very few sections of new freeway where there's obviously been thought put into the design, whether it's a bridge that's, in my mind, beautiful, or some kind of detail feature on the side concrete that makes it more than just a prison wall sort of thing. So how do you keep your optimism in your drive when you're just one artist against this universe of banality, really?
Well, probably the honest answer is it's just so much fun building that I can't resist it. But I think that one of the really fascinating things with the region that we live in, San Diego and Tijuana, is that I had a choice of living in a big city when I was younger. And I came back here basically because I thought it was like a big pit. And you could throw art into it the rest of your life and you could never fill it. And that it had a huge potential. And I think part of that potential is that we don't quite know who we are. And I think that's true both of Tijuana and San Diego. So I am optimistic that hopefully I'll never fill the hole, but that that we will come into a new time. And that's part of what I think's happening, is that we're opening a door to another world, and that like I tell kids that are really depressed about the environment and the politics and everything, we live in a time of a compost heap. But the compost is where the best things grow. And go make the good things grow bigger. And it's true. I think that young people it's much more interesting than living in a time when everything is decided and the church knows what you're to do, and we have not the vaguest idea what we're doing.
Interesting. Teddy, are we on the brink of a new era of optimism?
I would call it a pessimistic optimism.
Well, that pretty much covers it, I guess.
In a sense, because embedded in the conflict, in the kinds of sort of tensions, in the problematics that we see every day as we build our environment in such awful ways. And Southern California is one of the epicenters of selfish urbanization and steroids. It is embedded in that condition is a sense of possibility, because I think every problem would open up the possibility of transforming our own procedures, and ultimately I think pertinent to our conversation is the expanding of the categories of the beautiful. Part of the problem is that the beauty has been relegated to the object without an understanding where that object comes from. Mm-hmm. And I think that the issue of process that we were talking, or you were talking again, Marty, I think is undeniable. I mean, I think that we can appreciate an object for its beauty, but very seldom we know where that project was built and by whom, what were the sociopolitical frameworks that enabled it to produce it, etc. I mean, there's so many issues that are never really spoken about. Yeah. So I'm thinking that we need to radicalize in some way this notion, of beauty, as we see in unprecedented ways an amazing distance between the cultural institutions, museums, universities, a distance from those institutions and the public itself. I mean, we just saw it recently, and I keep talking about this, how easily the public can be hijacked out of the politics of fear, out of this belief in the kind of public culture that needs to really reframe the conversation, and therefore a care about the collective territory. The kind of, because we can talk endlessly about the qualities of the environment, which we all would agree. I mean, this has been the discussion for millennia. But yet we never talk about who are those qualities, how can they be accessible to other people. The institutional protocols that have made it impossible to really allow that connection. I was educated in a phenomenological tradition where all what we talked about was about the emotive sort of poetics of nature and how that can be translated into architecture. But at the same time, I could not deny, while that is definitely, evident, that we are institutionally framed. We are people that are controlled and somehow shaped by particular socio-political institutions. And we never really talk about that. The conceptions of beauty or of the commitment to quality by the institutions. Because that's my problem, and at times I feel at odds a little bit with this issue that we can talk about the qualities. I admire your work immensely. It's very located in a particular translation of the metaphorical into built form, but it's a very, very particular strand. I'm trying to imagine how that perception can mutate to also touch, other communities, other types of, you've invested a lot in, you built a school in Tijuana, for example, that is incredibly relevant and so on. But I don't want to confuse the issue. What I'm trying to say is that there is the issue about beauty located in the qualities of the environment. That is something that is a given. I want to talk about how we get to a process of decision making where those decisions can really begin to reframe the very protocols of the institutions and the way that we are ultimately building our environment.